Hey guys, welcome back to Bibliophile Reads. I'm Courtney, and today you're joining me for a weekly wrap-up. This has been a weird sort of transitional week because the beginning of the week was December, and then we transitioned into the new year. So I have 3 books that I read this week. I'm going to share those with you, my thoughts around them, and then I'm going to share what I plan to read this week. If you're new to my channel, welcome. So happy to have you here. Please check out my content to see if you like it. I do book hauls, book unhauls, weekly wrap-ups, weekly vlogs, tech Kindle videos, and we're building a small community here that I'd love you to be a part of. If you're returning, thanks so much for coming back. I appreciate you and your engagement in the channel. So let's start off with the things that I read. I'll note that all of these were on Kindle. So I talked about this towards the end of last year, but I am really trying to minimalize my life in a more simplified way, right? And so I had a huge bookshelf here, well, a mini bookshelf here, and it was overflowing with books. I also have a bookshelf sort of in my loft area, and I downsized that whole thing. So I took off a ton of books, went to half-price books, sold them, because a lot of them were duplicates or books that I know I'm not going to reread. I'm not much of a rereader, although I've gotten better with rereading books that are really great. So I got rid of a chunk of books, and then any books that were left, because I mostly got rid of hardcovers, and then the paperbacks that I had, I went back through to make a pile of books that I wanted to donate or sell. I haven't decided what I want to do with them yet. And then the few books that were left on the small bookshelf behind me, I moved them to the larger bookshelf, and so I just have one bookshelf, and then everything else is pretty much going to be digital. I find that once I read a physical book, I'm literally done with it, and so I'm really trying to just stay on the digital path, especially since I have so many Kindles, as you guys know. I do have one physical book that I'm reading this upcoming week, though, only because I already purchased it at the 50% off sale with Barnes. So I'll also note that between my 3 newest Kindles, you guys know I had the 12th edition Paperwhite, the Color Soft. This is the original. I never had really major issues with mine. And I just picked up the basic. I'm really only picking up these 2, honestly. Like the Color Soft and the basic have been my go-to. The pink one I'll pick up if one of these are charging, but I'm really not reaching for it, because if you have these, you don't really need another one. And really, this is only for going places. So like yesterday, my youngest had swim class, brought this one with me because it's really portable, and I wouldn't bring this one out because I don't want to break it. So if that gives you any idea on, you know, still which one should you get, just think about that. Okay, so let's talk about the books that I read. Now, one of them I kind of talked about already, but I will rehash. That's Mad Honey by Jodi Picoult. I got this book, I want to say I got it like early December or late November. I never read a Jodi Picoult book, but after the U.S. presidential election, she had made a great statement about her political stance, and I was like, let me support her, because I definitely agreed with her, and I picked up Mad Honey. It sat for a minute, and then at the end of December, I was trying to figure out, like, what do I want to read? I decided to pick that up, and I'm so glad I did. So Mad Honey follows a mom and a son who, the mom has kind of lived in this small town her entire life, has taken over her father's bee farm, and her son and her are just sort of like single parenting in it and, you know, living life. Then another family moves in from out of state. It's a mom and daughter, Lily, and Lily and the son are in the same grade. They start dating, and one day Lily goes missing, or not goes missing, excuse me. One day Lily shows up dead, and everybody's kind of wondering what happened. And the son, the MMC, he is suspected of murder. And so we go through this trial and the lead up to the trial and his feelings about this, and then in between that, we're kind of going back months, weeks, and days before Lily dies or is killed. And it was really good the way that they tracked the back and forth. I've said this before, but sometimes it's really hard for authors to write dual timelines in a really succinct way, and Jodi was able to do that. It was very clear what was happening and who was involved where the emotions that the MMC felt being accused of this crime were real and raw, and the twist at the end was amazing. I think I gave this 4 or 5 stars because it was just that good. I gave it 4 because the only thing that I did not enjoy about this book was that it was very long, which is not a bad thing. It was like 400 plus pages, but there was a chunk where it didn't need to keep going. And so that was the only reason I gave it a 4. But overall, the story is so good, and the twist at the end is top notch. And so I really, really loved that book. Okay, next up I read Pictures of You. And I just found that book randomly because I was looking for some new books to read. And I was looking to get just a different vibe, right? I've been really into literary fiction. I didn't want to necessarily jump right into a romance. I wanted to see what was new out there and what might be appealing to a different sort of reading experience. So Pictures of You follows Evie and Drew mainly. We start with Evie, who is waking up from like a coma. She has recently been in a car accident with her fiance. Her fiance dies, and she wakes up in the hospital with amnesia, with her last solid memory being when she was 16. And so she goes to the funeral of her fiance, who she has no idea who he is, because at 16 she hadn't met him yet, and she runs out of the funeral and runs into Drew, who happens to be somebody she knows very well, but she didn't recognize him, and he kind of takes her through trying to remember her past, but as we are trying to have Evie remember like who she is and what's going on, because at this point she's 29. We go back in time from the point she's 16 until about 23 to see like how she was at 16, how her and Drew know each other, and how her and her fiance met and know each other. And so it was really good. I ended up giving it 4 stars. I wasn't expecting the book to go the way it did. It was a tad long, but an amnesia plot is kind of an overdone plot, and could have gone easily a different way, but it was actually really, really good. I loved the way that they took this plot, and they explored it in a way I hadn't seen before, and I loved going back to when she was 16 and seeing her growth over time and finding the connections and watching her memory come back. So highly recommend that book. And then the last book I read this week was It's a Love Story by Annabelle Moynihan. Guys, I was so excited about this book. I am on NetGalley, and I don't always go on NetGalley, honestly, but I put in for some bigger titles and I got them, and I was so excited. So Annabelle Moynihan is like the first big author that I've had. Not that other authors aren't big, but she's very well known. And so I got an e-art copy of It's a Love Story, and guys, you are gonna love this story. I ended up giving this story 5 stars. And I will give you the synopsis really, because obviously I don't want to spoil it for you. This book follows Jane and Dan. Jane and Dan work together sort of adjacently. Jane works as a person who picks up scripts and tries to get them optioned and picked up, and Dan is a cinematographer. They have not the best working relationship because often Dan has shut down Jane's ideas and movie scripts in the past, and so she feels like he is tanking her and her career, and so she gets this script that's really good, but Dan in front of everybody says that it's not good enough to be greenlit, and so Jane says that she knows a really popular country music artist, Jack, who she used to work with, or she knows, and she claims that she can get him to write a song for the soundtrack, which would then make the movie commercial. And so the execs are like, yeah, definitely get Jack on the track, and this movie is a go. And so we follow Jane and Dan as they connect while trying to get Jack onto the soundtrack. So this book was a 5-star for me. Not just because it was given to me as an e-arc, but like it literally was so good I could not put it down. I think I got the e-arc Friday. I started it like Friday night and I finished it Saturday night. And it was so good. I think the synopsis is a little misleading because the story is not about Jane and Jack. It's about Jane and Dan, which made it all the more better. I think Dan is a really great book character. I'm trying to be like elusive here. He's a really great book character. And I think if you like Annabelle Moynihan's writing, you will love it. I really liked, which book did I like? I liked Nora Goes Off Script, and I didn't really get into the summer one because I think the summer one had like a cheating trope and I just didn't read it within season. But I do love Annabelle Moynihan's writing, and this book follows that same sort of comedic, fun, bantery style as Nora Goes Off Script, and so highly recommend that book. So I can't wait for you guys to see that when it comes out, and thank you to Penguin Random House Publishing for giving me that e-arc because it was so good. Okay, so let's talk about what I'm going to be reading this week, and I've already figured it out because yeah, I already know. Now this is the first week I'm going back to work in like 2 weeks because I took all of the holidays off. And I know it's going to be busy. However, most of the people on my team were off during this time, so hopefully I don't have a ton of emails, but I know I have a ton of stuff I need to do. But here's my goal. The first book I want to read is the actual physical book I talked about, and that's Same as It Ever Was by Claire Lombardo. This book I picked up at the 50% off sale at Barnes, and it's another one of those family books where we're following the journey of a family, the ups and downs, literary fiction. I don't know that much about it, and I'm okay with that, but I really liked Claire Lombardo's writing, and I want to get this read, honestly, so I can get it off my bookshelf because I wish I had a digital copy of this. It's easier for me to carry around a digital copy, obviously, but it's all booked up at my library on Libby, so it is what it is. But I'm excited to get started on that. I just have picked it up today, Sunday, so I haven't started reading it yet. And then simultaneously, I would love to read Spark of the Everflame by Pin Cole. That's kind of what the cover looks like. This book I actually have on Audible, and so I actually just canceled my Audible subscription and my Book of the Month subscription. Number one, I'm trying to reel in some of the subscriptions that we all sort of fall into, but two, I don't think I'm listening to Audible the way I thought I would. I originally picked up Audible at the end of 2024 because I wanted to listen to the books that I was listening to on Spotify Premium without the 15-hour cap. But the 15-hour cap is just fine because honestly I didn't listen to anything that I wouldn't have listened to on Spotify on Audible. So anyway, I canceled that. But the last book I picked up was Spark of the Everflame, and it's an Audible original. So I don't know if it's even going to be on Spotify Premium. So I want to listen to that one because I started it and it is really good. Nicely written, nice, easy fantasy language. And so I'm excited to get into that. And then the other book that I plan to read is another e-arc that I got from NetGalley. And it's called, I want to say it's called Frenemies to, hang on, let me tell you. It is called Frenemies with Benefits. And so I'm looking forward to checking that out. I don't know much about it except the title. And so it's like all of these books I'm reading this week I don't know much about. I'm just going to jump in and enjoy myself and try to get as many as I can done. I think I said in my last video, if you haven't checked that out, I'll link it in the cards, that my reading goal this year is 120 books. Last year I read about 174 or 73, and that was a great number for me. There were some months that were better than others, and I've read 2 books this month already, and so I would love to continue that momentum. The other thing this week is Beg, Borrow, or Steal comes out by Sarah Adams, and I do have that on my Kindle pre-ordered, so I know I'll jump into that. So we'll just see, like, I might put down the e-arc because it's not due until February, so I have some time, but I know I'm definitely going to want to read that one. So that's what I've been reading. Those are my plans for the upcoming week. I am going to do a weekly vlog and check in every week to see how my reading is going. But comment down below what you plan to read this week, and if you're starting off with some good energy or you feeling like tired already. Would love to hear that as we jump into the new year. So anyway, thanks so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.